to Do You Believe on Paranormal Zone TV. I want to thank you all so much for joining us tonight. And tonight we have an earlier show, and thanks for joining us. Please don't forget to subscribe to the show, and please don't forget to give the show a like. I'd appreciate it. Tonight I have my good buddy, good friend, Dave Spinks back tonight. We're going to have a fun show tonight, and I'm really looking forward to it. Tonight, Dave, let me tell you a little about Dave. Dave has been researching and investigating the paranormal since 1986. Dave is the author of the West Virginia Bigfoot. Let me show you his book. You can purchase that book on Amazon.com. Dave also is the co-founder of the Society of the Supernatural, and also he has an article, a section in the Wood Knocks that David Weatherly wrote, and I'm showing a picture of that. Let's see. Dave also owns the Notorious Willow's Weep in Cayuga, Indiana, and this house is notorious. It is so friggin' haunted. And let's see. Dave has conducted several hundred investigations, including hauntings, reports of strange creatures, as well as UFO encounters. Dave's website is www.davespinks.paranormalinvestigator.com. And Dave, tonight, he's going to talk about paranormal investigating. He's going to share some of his scariest moments in the paranormal investigations. And he's going to show us his equipment as well as demonstrate some of the equipment to us. So tonight's going to be a fun show. So let's welcome Dave to the show. Hey, Dave, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, Norene, thanks for having me on another one of those last-minute jobs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the last-minute jobs are always fun. We've always had a good time with those.
Yeah.
The scheduled guest, Sean
Austin.
Yeah, Sean Austin. He'll be on. He was rescheduled for February 28th. But tonight I have my friend Dave Spinks, and it's always a pleasure to have Dave. So, Dave, talk about, first of all, why don't you tell the viewers how you got it started in the paranormal?
Well, for those of you that have never seen me on Norene's show, I've been on here a bunch of times, and what started me in this really was a Bigfoot encounter me and my grandfather had here right down the road from where I live now in West Virginia, and also another encounter a few years later where I saw my grandfather's ghost the night he died, but I didn't know he was dead. So I had a couple really creepy and interesting encounters as a young man, and I started wanting to know answers to what it was that happened to me and what I saw, and what was I crazy, basically, as a young man, you kind of wonder, am I hallucinating these things, or did it really happen? And then you find out, hey, there's people all over the planet, that have had similar type experiences, and you're not crazy. So, and then as I went on trying to find answers to those questions, I started coming across a few early TV shows about the paranormal, like In Search of with Leonard Nimoy. And on one particular episode, they had an early paranormal investigator researcher named Hans Holzer. And he had one of the old style tape decks, about that big that you press a button and tape, he flips up and you slide a cassette in there. And had a microphone, an external mic that you plug in. And he was doing EVP sessions. Well, I had one that looked just like that, and I was like, hey, I can do that too. So whenever we would go on family vacations, a lot of times we would go see, Native American ruins, wherever. I would take my recorder and I started capturing EVPs. And that's how it all really, baby steps over the years took place for me. And then it just became more and more and more. And, the more you capture, the more EVPs and the more experiences you have, you just become totally enthralled, because you're like, hey, there's something to all this. We don't know what the hell it is, but, we're capturing voices that were not here with us in the room. It was maybe there'd be two guys, in the whole place, and then you capture a female voice. How do you explain that? When there's no one else around. So situations like that, is what really just sucked me in, not only having my own experiences, but also experiencing capturing disembodied voices, EVPs, hearing those things, seeing things move on their own, just all kinds of different stuff over the years. And, that's basically what happened to me and why I do what I do now. And I'd love to hear other people's experiences, their sightings, their encounters. That solidifies it even more solidly for me because, that's what it's all about. And there's so many millions and millions of people out there that have had some type of weird encounter, some sighting, or some kind of spiritual. For some people, it's almost like a spiritual awakening because, they're going through their daily lives, the humdrum thing, 9 to 5 with the kids, not expecting any of this to happen, and then all of a sudden something crazy stuff starts happening in their homes, and it really turns people's lives upside down in some cases. So it can be very dangerous. I've been attacked numerous times throughout the years. Because it really shook them up to the point when you realize there's something unseen that's strong enough to physically scratch you or slap you or whatever the case, pick you up and throw you, choke you. It's an eye-opening experience, and it can be downright frightening.
Are those so you want to tell the viewers some of the scariest locations and incidents that's happened to you?
Well, I've had several, and I've talked about them on your show before. I'll give you one example. The Moundsville Penitentiary here in West Virginia. Some stuff that's why I sound funny. Moundsville Penitentiary was up there several years ago investigating, and we had several people in the room with us. There's 4 of us. From the very get-go, we were in the psych ward of all places. Now, if you know anything about me, I'm ex-law enforcement, and so was my cousin who was with me at the time. He's still active duty law enforcement. So you can imagine 2 law enforcement officers, and we were corrections officers in an old prison. So, any spirits that may have been inmates in that place are not going to like us, right off the bat. So from the onset, the time we walked in, we were trying to film a piece, and we were doing an intro segment where we were telling about ourselves and where we were at. And you could hear audibly, and it's captured on the camera's audio, this voice saying, "Get out, get the F out, blah, blah, blah," over and over, at least 8, 9 times during a 1.5-minute intro. So we did that, and we were hearing it because we started talking about it during the intro. So, that alone in itself was pretty amazing. So we spread out in the room, and we had various cameras and equipment set up. There was a person over on the floor, and they had their camera standing up. And then there's an old wooden door that used to lead to another closet area, like a big closet, and something started physically pounding on that door. Loud. And we were just like, what? And we ran over there, and there's nothing in the closet, nothing in the door. You can hear it plain as day. You could feel the concussion coming off of this pounding. And then the person's camera to our right flies across the room and smashes. And there was nobody near. The nearest person was 10 feet away. And we had enough ambient light in there we could all see it. It wasn't like it was pitch black. So, when something has that kind of force, how do you explain that? I can't. To me, that's a paranormal experience right there. That's a true blue poltergeist type activity where something was strong enough to pick up a piece of equipment and throw it and smash it across the room. Excuse me for 1 second. Alright, sorry. My door came open, so. On another occasion, I've talked about this on Norene's show. Me and my good friend David Weatherly were at this place in Indiana, old brothel, run by the Chicago mob. And long story short, he's running the ghost box session. I'm filming him, and I go in the area. I'm behind the camera, and I wanted to take a static meter in the room with him. Give another piece of equipment that we could use for visual reference on the camera. And as I bend over and set this equipment down, some force goes right through me. You felt like this wind, and it knocked me backwards and kind of made me loopy. And I got dizzy. I went against the wall, and I'm sitting there trying to gather myself. And he's like, "Man, you don't look right. You better sit down." So I sat down, and I kept feeling a spider web sensation on my head, like a tickling. So I'd go like that. And long story short, the ghost box got really negative, saying it was going to kill us, and this and that. And he's like, "What did you do today?" And it said, clear as a bell on the ghost box, it said, "I hit him," and it said, "Ha ha ha," like that. And he said, "What'd you hit him with?" And it said, "A shovel." So he keeps going on with this ghost box. It's making all these threats, and we shut it down. And I'm still not feeling right. So we go downstairs. There's people watching this live, too, from downstairs. We sat down at the table, and I'm feeling weird, and I feel that tickling, and I go like this, and I pull my fingers back, and it's covered in blood. And I have a big knot on my head with a gash in the knot. So right then and there, we heard on the ghost box, he hit me with a shovel, and he loved it, and he cracked my head.
Oh, no.
And that was witnessed by many people live, when it happened and everything. And, I'm not going to, everybody knows my reputation. I would never attempt to falsify anything like that. I mean, to me, it's pointless. But that was one of the most unnerving things that's ever happened to me, because that's when hey, not only did it happen, but the freaking responses, on the ghost box, he told us what he did to me. That was a phenomenal, just whole freaking eye-opening flurry of things that happened. And, to this day, and then the very next day, the entity was calling himself Ethan.
Oh.
And he said that he was going to, the next day we were doing some stuff downstairs, because we lived in this place for a week. We stayed in it for a whole entire week and investigated it. The next day, Weatherly was giving him down the road, and he told Weatherly he was going to slash him. Well, I'm filming Weatherly, and within 15 minutes or so, we're still doing a ghost box session. Weatherly's back starts burning really bad, and he's like, "My back," and he's like, "Man, it hurts." And he's wearing a long sleeve thermal shirt with a t-shirt over top of it tucked into his pants, both shirts. And he's been on camera in front of me the whole time, and I said, "Pull your shirt up." Pulls his shirt up, and sure enough, from the top of his shoulder all the way down to past his belt line were 3 enormous scratches that were just ready to start bleeding, and they were welted up. So on 2 days in a row in this place, something told us it was going to attack us. Something said what it did to me, and it scratched him, and then he got violently ill shortly thereafter. And so some of these entities, they can reach out and hurt you. And I've experienced, and many others I know that have experienced it as well. And I've seen other people that I didn't know experience it in various locations. So it's something that you got to be careful of, and there's nothing you really can do when it happens other than protect yourself in whatever faith system you have, and that doesn't always work either. So
Do you have any advice for those who want to do ghost hunting?
well, it's a catch-22. I don't try to discourage folks. I just try to let you know it can be dangerous. There's different people with different energies out there. I've been in rooms when we're getting a lot of really good stuff, and a different person will walk in a room, and the energy, we call them energy killers. The energy, the responses stop, everything stops. Some spirits are drawn to certain people more, I think, in my personal opinion. That's just what I've seen over the years of doing this. Some spirits know you're open to communicating with them, and they will communicate with you. Others will only communicate with certain people. For whatever reason, we don't know why. I mean, it just happens. Now, there's there's a dark side to the paranormal too. You have people out there that are constantly trying to conjure up evil spirits or negative type entities for their own negative purposes, if you will. Some people think it's all a show. I'm here to tell you, to me, it's not a show. I've seen some pretty bad stuff happen to people, and just be careful. If you're new to it, go with an experienced team. Listen to what they tell you. Don't, I'm going to tell you right now, TV investigating and real paranormal investigating, two totally different things, okay? I've done both. So I'm here to tell you, what you see on TV is not necessarily the real deal. You'll get bits and pieces of the real deal, but it's not the same thing. I'm not even going to go into all that, but don't believe everything you see on TV on some of these shows, okay? It's for entertainment, and that's the best way to look at it, okay? There's a lot of recreations that go on, which is fine. And if there's people telling their stories and they recreate it, that's fine. That's TV. And, even on one of my episodes, they added stuff and changed stuff around to make it more scary, which they didn't need to. It was already scary enough for me. I lived it, but they did a good job overall, and it was a cool experience to tell it. So just keep that in the back of your mind. What you see on certain shows is not how you conduct an actual paranormal investigation, okay? They roll in there. They're in there for a day or so, for a couple hours at a time, and it's all edited down and everything like that. So it's not the same thing as really going out there and doing it, because you got to spend a lot of time in some of these places to get good stuff sometimes. So,
Dave, do you believe in protection when you go out there?
Yes.
What kind of protection should they do?
Totally up to you. It's all based off your faith and belief system. I usually say a couple of prayers, and I also, when I leave, I ask the spirits not to follow me. I pretty much demand that they not follow me and tell them they have to stay here, and I use some prayers to back that up and some other things. A lot of people use sage and holy water and holy oil or whatever. It all depends on what your background is, what your faith and your belief system is.
Have you seen any apparitions with your own eyes?
Yeah.
Can you tell the viewers about it?
Well, no.
No. Oh,
not on the. I've only seen a couple. I've seen plenty of shadow figures and stuff, but I can't tell that one because it's coming out on a show. Remember?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Dave. Dave, is that? Oh gosh, that's that. I had a clip of that.
It's on a show it's going to be on a show that it's already aired in the UK and in Canada. It's called Paranormal 911. It was when I was still working in law enforcement. I had a crazy paranormal experience. And it's also coming. It's going to be in my new book that's getting ready to release in the next few weeks. So in the next 2 to 6 weeks, my new book. It's I'm doing a whole series of books called Real West Virginia Hauntings. It's cases that I've done along with a lot of West Virginia stories, that there's, eyewitness accounts, interviews, and I've investigated most of them. And the way the series is going to work is West Virginia has 55 counties in the whole state, and I will have at least one investigation that I've conducted in every single county in the state at a whatever given location over the years, because I've done so many. And of course, some counties will have multiple investigations in them, more than others, because that's just the way it worked out. But I've investigated this state so much and so often that I've got literally at least one from every single county, and of course many from some counties. Because there's so many haunted locations here. Not to mention it's going to be actual active cases I'm working on now that are residential cases will be in the book as well.
Oh, residential, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
As everything, a lot of people don't really know, but I'm the only paranormal professional investigator that's ever been allowed to investigate the actual Greenbrier ghost murder house. I'm the only one that's ever been allowed in there to actually investigate it. And, that's in the book, and that's a really, if you don't know about that, look it up, Google it. It's a pretty famous ghost story.
Just tell them a little bit about it, because it's so bizarre.
Well, the long and short of it is, I'm not going to give the names and stuff because I want people to read the book, but a man came to this town down in Lewisburg, West Virginia. He married this young girl. This guy apparently had been married numerous other times, and most of his other wives had met strange and mysterious demises, and anyway, after they were married a short while, she came up dead, and it was a really, it looked really suspicious. She was found at the bottom of the stairs in the house, and he, when they, in those days, the women would always take care of the women's dead bodies. They would wash them and dress them and all that, but he wouldn't let anyone else around her mom or her, any of the other women folk. And he had her dressed in a high neck dress with a weird scarf wrapped around it, and he wouldn't let anyone get near her the whole time, and there's a whole bunch of weird circumstances. Well, they ended up burying her and everything, and her mom had a dream the night of she was buried, and her daughter came to her in a dream and said that he murdered me, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the mom went straight to the sheriff and told this whole story. Of course, they blew it off, and she finally got them to exhume her body after several days. And sure enough, when they had another doctor come in and look at it, they discovered her neck was broken, her throat was crushed, she had a broken vertebrae, and they charged him with murder. So essentially what you have is the guy was convicted of murder based off of a ghost testimony to her mother.
That is so crazy.
And there's a whole weird synchronicity with all that too, because guess where he was sent? He was sent to the West Virginia pen, where I supervise those inmates, where I've investigated paranormally, and I trained in federal law enforcement and state law enforcement. So there's a whole nother thing there that not many people can say, that they've done what I've done at the old West Virginia penitentiary. Wow. So, and it's all connected, because you got that guy who died there, and it's a whole fascinating story with the whole Greenbrier ghost, but many books have been written on it and whatnot. So I'm just telling it from my perspective, and since I'm the only guy that's ever been allowed to investigate the actual house, because it is a private residence, people do live in it. That's never happened before. That's the only case like that, right? Yeah. Why? Yeah, it's really. I mean, in those old days, when you're dead, they just buried you. But she got them to literally exhume the body, and they had another doctor come in and look at it, and, they had him sitting in the outside waiting room, and bam, they said, yeah, she's been killed. Because that's why he covered up her neck, see, to keep the bruising where he choked her and everything. And after she was buried, the bruises showed up even more, So, it's a pretty fascinating case, and, it was really cool for me to be able to actually be allowed in there. And it's on my YouTube channel. You can watch the investigation, and we got some really, really great responses in that location that were intelligent and that pertain to her, and everything. So it's pretty crazy.
Dave, do you want to show the viewers some of the? How much equipment? You have hundreds of pieces of equipment. Do you want to show them some of the fun stuff?
Yeah, we'll go over some of I'm going to go over some of the basic tools that I think every paranormal investigator should have. Now this stuff is all theory, guys. You got to remember that. We're trying. There's been many attempts at trying to scientifically document these things, and these are some of the small ways we can try to attempt to do that in the paranormal field. So, and there's innovators out there that are trying to invent more and more equipment to scientifically document paranormal happenings, whether it be apparitions and whatnot. There's all kinds of equipment that detects changes in the atmosphere around you, and some of the theories when spirits manifest that they create cold spots because they suck all the energy out of the area when they're manifesting, and all kinds of other things. So the first piece I'm going to talk about is a really good device, and I really like this because this particular model has several different functions on it, and this is called the millimeter. Okay, let me see if I can get it where it's clear on the camera for you. All right, this is can you see it there, Norene?
Yeah.
All right, this is the millimeter RIM ATDD model, and this device here has several functions, and I'll get it turned on for you. All right, it has this antenna here. This is a proximity sensor on this device, okay? And basically what it is a miniature RIM pod, okay? So you're going to turn this on, and let me get the whole device on here, because you got to turn on several different buttons for functions. Let me get this light on over there. Is that a little bit better?
Oh, that's good.
All right, so you see that there's a top set of numbers. Right now it says 0.0. And then underneath there's another little set of numbers. The little set of numbers, let me see if I can... Man, that light is really drowning it out. There we go. All right, the little set of numbers is your temperature readout. Now, when you're conducting a paranormal investigation, you know, one of the theories is that, like I just said, spirits, when they manifest, they can change the temperature in a room. So what you utilize this device for is you're monitoring for any temperature changes when you're experiencing paranormal activity. So that's one way to document, hey, we were hearing knocks, bangs, booms, voices, and the temperature changed 5 degrees or 10 degrees or whatever. The numbers on top of it are a measurement for electromagnetic fields. Another theory in the paranormal world is that when spirits manifest, that the EMF in any given location will go higher or be, you know, manipulated somehow when these spirits manifest. Also, high EMF fields have been proven to make humans hallucinate, feel physically sick and nauseous, and in that case, you know, you have to try to determine if the humans in a house, if they're experiencing all this paranormal activity, you know, take a look around outside. If their house is under some high tension wires, you know, those super big electrical wires, they may be experiencing hallucinations and not actual real paranormal activity. So you got to take that into consideration too. So how this device works, you know, a normal readout in a house that has electric and power, this will pick up on microwaves. This will pick up like your refrigerator if it's on and you're close enough to it with this device. It's going to register EMF because all those devices put out radioactive waves. You know, EMF is what it's called. And so a good way, if you're conducting a good solid investigation, is you want to turn all the power off in a location, because that way it will give you a true reading and you're not picking up on any microwave in a house or power sources. It'll pick up electrical sockets, light switches, the whole 9 yards, because it's a very sensitive device. And if you don't know, a guy named Gary Galka created this device because he tragically lost his teenage daughter in a car accident, and he was so devastated he couldn't let her go, and he created this device to try to communicate and prove that he was communicating with his daughter. Yeah. And he still claims to communicate with her in their house.
Yes.
And he's an electrical engineer, very smart man, and he came up with this device. This is a later model. It has different functions. So also, another way you use this device is I talked to you about the antenna. Now, when you're walking around, and it's always good to take a base reading of a location. Go around, look for high EMFs in a given location in the house, and see if there's any spikes, and then you document that and come back to it, and that's where you want to conduct your investigations at. First, you try to debunk that it's not an electrical source in the house, and then you go ahead and do your EVP sessions or whatnot. So this also has a cool function like a REM pod. So you're walking through a house and this goes off. Something has to physically break that barrier to set this off. Now if you're holding it out in front of you like this and there's no one around you, and all of a sudden something's grabbing a hold of that thing, and the closer it gets to the antenna, the more bells and whistles it sets off. See?
Wow, yeah.
So it's a really cool little device, and it also has. There's a button. Let's see if I can show you. This is how you turn this one on and off right here. And then there's another device. You saw that little red light come on? There's a temperature sensor. So it will set off if the temperature goes up 5 or goes down 0.5 degrees, it'll set off an alarm, and it'll light up either blue or red. If it goes half a degree hotter, it'll light up a red light. If it goes half a degree colder, light up a blue light. So it has all kind of functions just on one device. These devices, this particular one here goes for about either $199 or $299 now. So I highly recommend it if you're just starting. It's a great piece of equipment to have. All right?
Yep. What's your next one?
And there's all kinds of these, folks, but this to me is the best one out there. Okay? There's different companies that make them and whatnot. The only reason I promoted that one so hard is because it's a really good device.
Hey, Dave.
And it just said 666 on there, which is creepy.
Dave, I'm gonna let you talk a little bit.
There's antenna.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I you know what? If I can find it, and I should have thought about it. I have the original. I guess they call it Ovilus.
Oh yeah, the Ovilus X.
The thing is like 12 inches big.
Oh yeah.
I have the original one, and I'm while you talk, I'm gonna go look in my closet to see if I can find it. I haven't used it in years, but oh my God, I would love to show you it. Okay, go ahead, Dave. I'm gonna put you on full screen. I'm gonna see if I can find that original piece.
All right. Yeah. So here's another EMF device, similar to the Melmeter. This is a recent one that's put out by a guy. This one's pretty cool. Right here you have your temperature readout. I don't know if you can read that because of the glare, but this one has all the touch sensors as well. And what's cool about this one is you can change it if you think there's a child spirit in the house. It'll play a tune. So it's, you got to think outside the box creating these devices, and they've done a good job, on that type of deal. So, and this one's got a little flashlight on it and all kinds of stuff. So it's got a flashlight, so it's a multiple device too. So that's just another example of that one. This is a cool device too. This has a different function. This is called the MF1. I got this one. This is a prototype, and they're called something else now. It starts with an E, but the company that first made these, this was a prototype, and this one has 3 different functions on it as well. Okay, and that's on. So the top number is your temperature in the room. Okay, you got a speaker so you can hear audible noises when the thing's going off, and it's also got a geophone. Now, what a geophone is it measures vibration. Okay, so if you set this thing on a table, it's flashing now because I'm moving it, but if the old unexplained footsteps, loud thumps and bangs, it's a good device to set on a stairwell, because if a spirit is walking up and down and it's actually causing a vibration, guess what? Boom, boom, boom. And then the blue lights are the EMF, just like the Melmeter measures. It measures EMF. The more blue lights you get, it'll go solid. The more EMF it's picking up.
Now, which one is that?
Cool.
Is that the K? Is that the K2? What is that? Oh, MF. What is that?
No, it's another It's another meter. It has 3 different functions. It's called the MF1.
Oh, I never saw that one before.
Yeah, this is a prototype. I got one of the first batch that came out of these. They are now called something else, and they have even more bells and whistles. So they're a cool little device. What you're trying to do is measure, some of the claims in the paranormal when you're using these devices. So that's another cool one. And here, everyone's seen this, the old K2 meter on all the ghost shows. Now, you have to be careful when you're buying a K2 meter, folks, because there's all kinds of cheap, fake Chinese knockoffs of these. Okay? The real K2s are smooth. The case is smooth. And you want to get it where it says Made in USA on the back. Okay? Chinese versions, the buttons don't work like they're supposed to, and you have to hold them down. The real ones click on and off, okay? And the Chinese version, the cases are most of the time textured. They're not smooth like this one. So make sure you're getting the good equipment. You're not getting duped, because the other ones are garbage, all right? And this, what that does, you know, K2 is the same thing. It measures the EMF. It tells you right here on the scale, gives you a little scale, okay? Green is the lowest, red maxed out, okay? So you just hold, and you can use this many different ways in the paranormal. You can ask questions to a spirit and tell it to touch this device, and sometimes you'll get responses like that. You got to think outside the box when you're doing this, okay? So that's basically my trick box of EMF meters. It's my favorite ones I like to use, and that's what I utilize when I go out. Now, Norene, did you go get your device, Norene?
Yeah, it's a K2 meter.
What was?
Yeah,
that's what I just showed.
Oh, can I show mine?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh my God. Okay, let me show. Okay. Oh, I'm so excited. I bought this. Oh my God. I think in 206.
Yeah.
Hold on for a minute. Hold on. Let me get mine. Yes, I bought this I think it was in 206. It was a place called ParanormalSystems.com that sold these. It was expensive in those days. And this is my K2 meter. This is what it looked like. I used to use, oh my God, we used to use this all the time. See the lights on up there? Oh, here, let me move this. And that's the antenna, and this is the switch on and off where the lights would go. And when you would talk, see, it's going on and off because of the electrical by it. But this is the original K2 meter. I love it. It's the only antique I have now.
Oh, they're still utilized. I mean, you know, people still use them a lot.
Oh yeah, but not this one, honey. I don't even know. From 206.
Here's another one. This is an old school device that I've had for many years. This is called a Gauss meter. Same thing. It measures EMF. Okay. So it's actually got the old needle style display on it. And that's what it sounds like when it's maxing out. Alright? That's old school. And, you know, like I said, there's another way, and it's very old school, that you can pick up magnetic anomalies, folks. The old compass. I still utilize old school methods, even with all the high technology that's out there today, because you just never know what you're going to get. You know, compasses point north, but I've had them in locations where they'll sit there and spin. So, you know, another way to try to document paranormal activity. All right, one of the newer devices, and Norene's had them too when they first came out, was called the Ovulus. There's many models of the Ovulus that have been out. I think we're up to the Ovulus 5 or 6 now. I don't put a lot of stock in them, but I have got some good results with them. But this is the Ovulus 5, okay? This is one of the latest ones, if not the latest one. And basically, this one has all kinds of different functions on it. Basically, there's a dictionary that's input into this thing, I think of 2,000 or 2,500 words. And you ask questions and you try to get a response based off of the words that are pre-input into the dictionary, into the memory of this thing. But these new ones, they have all kind of cool functions. They have a log. They'll log everything and give you a time and date of when it happened. And they have some other different meters on here. There's an energy field meter, so if it picks up energy, you see that line, it's almost like, you know, when you have a heartbeat monitor on you. If it's picking up EMF, it'll sometimes register energy across that field. Then you go back to home, you can do true and false sessions. You see the red and green light. You ask questions, and a line will appear and go to true or false. See how it's doing that right now? And you ask a question and see if it gives you a legitimate response, like, is my name Dave? And you wait for a response, etc., etc. So it's just different pieces of equipment people are thinking outside the box, trying to communicate with spirits with. Has a phonetic.
Yeah, it's not talking, huh? Do you have it on?
No, it's on, yeah. It's not saying anything. Yeah, let's put it on this. See if we can get it to talk. Is anyone here with us? Nothing. But if it's picking up, and it based off the EMF in an area, that's what it spits out words. The higher, not the higher, but different words based off of EMF readings it's picking up. You can see the two antennas coming off the end of it right here.
Yeah.
That's weird. That thing usually talks a little bit when you turn it on. I guess there's no spirits around or EMF tonight. But I like to hook an external speaker to these because the speakers in them are really, really low. You can barely hear this one. But they're, it's just a different device. There's all, I will say something. There's all kinds of phone apps and apps out there now that claim to, be paranormal devices. I wouldn't put any stock in those. And there is one decent one that I've got good results with, but I'm not going to promote it because I have my own personal reasons for that, but I feel that if spirits want to communicate with you, they're going to communicate with you, whatever device you're using. So, another cool thing, you don't see this too often, is an anemometer, okay? People talk about the cold breezes and the cold air in some of the haunted locations. This device measures wind. So, you could set this up. It's got a nice tripod mount. You set it up on a tripod, put a camera on it, and see if it picks up any wind. See it spin around?
Yeah.
So it'll pick up and tell you what the wind speed is. Something else. You got to think outside the box when you're doing this. Now, when I do, UFO type stuff, I use rad detectors, too, to try to measure radiation levels. If there's, it's one way to tell that if something really different has happened in an area. You use a radiation detector that will measure spikes in the radiation levels. If someone claimed a craft landed, you go out and take radiation level. Say if there's some impressions in the ground, go out there and test the ground. Use different radiation detectors and whatnot. And I have several of those, right here. And basically, they'll just tell you what the radiation levels are. There's a normal amount, and then it goes higher after that. So, now this device here, this is a pretty cool little device. This was made by Bill Chappell. He makes all kinds of devices for a certain TV show. This is called the Paranormal Puck. Now, this is cool because it has an app that comes with it. Okay, it's very similar to the Ovilus, but what you do is you place this puck, you turn it on, and it's got Bluetooth. Put it in the middle of a room, right? And you have your tablet or your phone, whatever you're using, and you physically type in questions and wait for an answer to come back on the screen to you. And it works. The first time I ever used this was at this location in Ohio, and we had been, the night before, me and Weatherly had been over to the Archive of the Afterlife Museum, and I had this whole interaction with this spirit named Tom, who was electrocuted at the old West Virginia Pen in the chair, and Steve had the actual executioner's cap this guy was killed with, on the electric chair, and he was saying his name was Tom, and we verified there was 8 people killed with that specific cap, and his name he was a guy, his name was Tom, and he killed a mom and her young daughter, raped them and killed them, and he was executed for it in that chair. Well, the next night we were across the river in Ohio doing another investigation, and I had just gotten this, and I said, I'm going to use the puck. So we broke it out, and we were getting stuff on the ghost box, and another guy was with us upstairs, Sean was with us upstairs, and I put that puck on, and I said, who's here with us? First time I ever used it, it said Tom. So did he follow us over from from the archive where he was talking to us the night before. Pretty interesting stuff. And this guy, he was being very negative toward me, to law enforcement. And a whole series of things happened to me from that night to the next day. So, when I saw that name respond, Tom, it really was freaky because this guy had attacked me. I had 2 welts pop up on my neck, almost like he was projecting that when he was electrocuted. That's what I was feeling, and I bit through my tongue the next day. That's never happened to me before, and my tongue poured the blood for like 6 hours. I needed stitches, so crazy stuff, man.
Wow.
Some of the other devices that are out there, this is called a EM pump, and what these do, you can see that light, is they actually, if you're not getting a lot of responses or the energy's low, you can buy these. People make them, and they actually make EMF. I'll see if I can show you what it does here. Alright, so this is pumping out EMF, right? Let's see if this device will pick up on it for you. Wait a minute here. Yeah, there it goes. So it'll start lighting up when the EMF gets high enough in the room. It'll light up like crazy and stuff. But this pumps out EMF, and if you want to try to amp up the energy, you can buy these energy bars, they're called. Really, I haven't really noticed much difference when I've tried to use them in experiments and stuff like that. Okay.
What about your digital voice recorders?
Yeah, I'll go over them in a second.
Okay.
I'll show you some of these. Alright. If you don't know what these are, these are called REM pods, okay? And what these do, you put these out in the room, they put out an invisible barrier around. Anything breaks the barrier, it sets off bells and whistles. See? And wherever something breaks the plane, it'll light up that particular color. Something physically grabs the whole thing, it'll light up the whole thing, and it sets off an alarm. These are cool to have because you can set a camera up, walk away, and if something's in the room all by itself setting this off, it could be paranormal related. And it has an antenna. I don't have the antenna in, but when you put that in, it's a lot more sensitive. So you get the gist of that. There's all kinds of these out there too. And this one's cool because you can make it play tunes for children, spirits. Alright?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Another geopod. Like I said, this is a cool one because it really lights up good for camera purposes. If you're trying to record, you set this on a stairway. Something sets off a vibration on the stairs, and it'll register for you. And you can see how strong it is based off the lights. Harder I hit it, the higher it goes. And you can adjust the sensitivity on it too. So that's another device you can use. Now there's all kinds of, another theory behind it. I don't have batteries in this one, but another theory is that spirits put off a static electricity charge. And this is one of the devices for that. When it's picking up static electricity, this thing will light up wherever the static electricity is being picked up. And sometimes you'll see it go all around crazy. Same thing here, another one, static electricity meter. I'm just giving you the basics, this is just some of the basic stuff. So, one of my favorite pieces of equipment, and you can't really deny them, is recorders, okay? There's all kinds of them out there. I still even use tape, okay? I even use old school tape recorders because I've got some of my best EVPs off of these things ever. Whatever some folks believe the magnetic in the tape
I don't think one's better than the other. But I do like using tape. And of course, any digital recorders, I've got tons of them. You ask questions, wait a good 10, 15 seconds for a response, ask another question. I'd like to do like burst sessions, ask 3 questions in a row and play it back and see if you get a response. How do you explain there's 2 guys in a room, you're asking questions and you play it back and it's a female answering you intelligently. That's some of the best paranormal evidence there is right there in my book. Let me see, I'm going to play this. Let me see if I can bring it up here real quick.
Now, what is that you're playing?
This is a recorder.
Is it a digital or a tape?
Yeah, it's a digital recorder. Some people think that certain ones are better than other ones, and that's just not true. But anyway, EVPs are some of the best evidence out there. I've got EVPs of Native American spirits drumming, chanting. How do you explain that? Some of the best EVPs I ever got, too, was at Gettysburg. I was out on the cavalry battlefield area. That was a little bit separate from the main battle. Both cavalries clashed about a mile, 2 miles away from the main battle. And I was out there one night at 10 o'clock at night, and this is during kind of in the fall, winter. There's no reenactors whatsoever going on at that time of year, let alone that time of night. And I yelled out military commands, fire at will, and lo and behold, I got several barrages of musket fire, and then in the background, in the distance, I got cannon fire. Boom, 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 boom. And just to make sure, I called all around and asked all the parks and stuff the next day, was there any kind of reenactments, any fireworks going off, anything last night? They said, no, absolutely not. So when you can capture recordings such as that, you really got some good evidence there that something not normal was going down. And then, you always want to fact check, call around, ask, hey, that's why I called the parks and everything and asked if there's any. And it wasn't just like 1 or 2 shots. These were barrages, just like you would have heard in a battle. Like a whole line of men, a whole company of men firing in unison. And then it happened several times. And that same night, I also walked around, right where the bodies would have been laying, dead horses, dead men, dying men, and I asked, who wants whiskey? And I got a clear as a bell EVP of a man going, water, just like that, like he was dying and he needed water. And then I got another EVP of a guy that sounded like he was taking his death breath, his last breath where he just exhaled like, and if you've ever heard that, which I have, there's no mistaking it. When someone takes their last breath and they breathe out, you know when they're dead. And I heard that, and I've got it on a recorder. So, it's unmistakable. So that's the kind of stuff you want to look for. And then, when you're using all these devices, guys, you don't just want to bank everything on, the REM pod went off, so, we got undeniable paranormal evidence. No, that's not how it works. You want to tie everything in together, okay? The REM pod's going off, we've got an EVP saying this, and the temperature changed. Put all that together, then you can say, hey, we have something here. Don't rely on just one device. That's why you have all these different devices and whatnot. One of the most controversial things out there are ghost boxes. I'll give you a little example of one. This is a custom made for me one. And the whole theory behind these basically is they're just radios that were hacked or made to scan very fast through hundreds of channels of radio channels, right? There's a white noise that's created. I'll play it for you real quick. You can hear that in the background. And it's scanning. You can see how fast it's scanning through the radio channel. Watch the orders. And you're going to get radio bleed on it. So what you do with one of these, okay, is you ask a question and you wait for a response. You want the quicker the better. And been cussed out on these things. I mean, with the most vile language you can imagine, MF or FU, whatever, you know. I know that's real because the FCC, if a radio station was to play that, they would get their license pulled and would be closed down. So you know that's real, okay? That's not BS. And that's how you utilize a ghost box. You just ask questions and you look for immediate, intelligent responses to those questions. You don't just go off of a random word that comes out of it, you know. Like, say if you're a musician, okay? One example. If you're a musician and it says music, that doesn't mean it's pertaining to you as a musician or whatever the case. That's just, you know, you can't put it together like that. You have to ask a question and wait for a specific response to your question that's factual and intelligent. You know, like, tell me my name. And then you get a response of David. Okay, what's my last name? Spinks. Okay, now you're getting somewhere. So you keep running with it like that. That's how you use a ghost box. You don't just listen for random words. Even though sometimes those random words will be factual and relevant to where you're at and what you're doing, but you got to run with it. Get more. Get as many as you can. Try to get them to repeat that. You know, say it more than once. You know, if you can get something to say it more than once, that's even better evidence. Okay, so that's basically how you use a ghost box. And there's a ton of these things out here. That's just one. I'll show you a couple more I have. And I've got a bunch of them. And there's all kinds of ones that have different sweeps. This is one of my go-to boxes is a Hack Shack, man. These things, I love these things. I've got like 8 of them. And they, you know, this specific one, this style, they don't make them no more, so they're getting harder and harder to get. So, and you have to physically go in and hack them so they scan. So, you just hit it on scan. Whose show are we on right now? So that's how you do it. You know, you just let it run. And you can put it on AM, FM, it doesn't matter. Forward sweep, backward sweep. And there's all kinds of them. There's this one, is SB11 it's called. It has 2 ghost boxes built into one, so you can run one forward and one backward or whatever. There's several different combinations, AM, FM. It's a pretty cool device. And then another good ghost box is the SB7. You know, this was made, SB11 and 7 were specifically made for ghost hunting. They're made to scan and you can change the sweep rate where it goes faster, slower. Pretty cool stuff and innovative that people are coming out with. And then you got several IPC people out there that are making their own ghost boxes. You know, here's a cool one called an Andes box that I have. And this thing, you can do all kinds of different stuff. You can put an echo in it. You can change the sweep rate. You can all kinds of stuff with these things. I've got some pretty phenomenal stuff with this one, too. Basic stuff you can do. Now you can also go old school. You can use baby powder, set up a camera trap, you know, throw some baby powder on the floor and put a camera on it, see if anything happens. I also use motion puck lights. You know, those, just like your garage light outside your house, like when there's motion detected, the light turns on and off. Use it as a trap, put a camera on it. You know, nobody's there, you put them up a set of stairs, and bam, 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 they go on. How do you explain that? You know, could have been a bug, yes, but was it? Did the camera capture the bug? You just got to think outside the box. Now, going and talking about cameras in the paranormal, okay, there's all kind of cameras. And let me tell you, you don't have to investigate at night, folks. That's just a creep factor, if you will. For example, most prisons, all the activity, the murders, the stabbings, whatever, happen during the daytime. They're not, you know, they lock them down at night. So you can go to any given location and investigate during the day and get just as good at EVPs, just as good of evidence as you can at night. Doesn't matter. Now, going to the camera aspect of it, the reason folks use infrared cameras and other cameras is because they number one, they can see in the nighttime, okay, and they see in a different spectrum than the human eye can see. So you see the green ones on TV all the time. Those are infrared cameras, IR. Okay, they see at night, they see in the dark if you have the proper lighting to go with them. So the as humans, we can't see very well at night, so that's why those were made to see at nighttime. But they also can pick up things that the human eye can't, so that's why they're utilized a lot of times. Now, there's also, if you see cameras that are in a pink or purplish hue, those are full spectrum cameras. The reason they're called full spectrum is because they see in all the other spectrums the human eye cannot see in, and you can really pick up some good different shadow play with those and whatnot. Another little device that you could do stuff with is, I was showing Norene these earlier. And you don't see them used as much anymore, but the old laser grid. Okay? You see all the dots on my face, and the battery's weaker. I'd put it on the wall and you'd be able to see it. But what you do with one of these is you set them up, and you put it on a wall, and you put a camera behind them, and then you look for something to move in front of the dots and change the dots. As you see my hand in front of it, it's blacking out the dots. So it's just another tool you can use in paranormal investigating. And then I have some high-powered lasers that I use sometimes. This is a 5 water. It's pretty powerful. Like, I could take this to Trans-Allegheny and shoot it all the way down a 300-foot hallway and have a solid beam. And you can see it on camera. But what you're looking for is something to break that beam, okay? Something that's not there to break through the beam. And let me see. You can kind of see it on my hand, the beam.
Oh, yeah.
See that? I mean, it's hot. I can feel the heat coming off of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it'll pop a balloon and everything. So, you can utilize this, shoot it down a hallway, and film it with a camera and see if anything crosses the beam. All right, different things that you can utilize in the paranormal, folks. What else we got? Oh, and here's an example of a night vision camcorder. You can get, there's all kinds of them. There's a Sony. This is one of my older ones. I use this just for a static camera, and it shoots in night vision. But they're making them in 4K and everything else now. Still pictures. I have infrared one and full spectrum one. This is a full spectrum. This is a purple hue. This shoots video and still pics. So, when you're going through a location, you always want to just go through and take a bunch of pictures and see what happens. You never know. I've caught some pretty good stuff on still pictures. If you, I recently redid my website, so I don't have all my evidence stuff up there. But there's one that I caught on this camera right here, this IR still picture, where I was just taking the pictures. And I think, Norene, we showed it on your show one time. It's that shadow figure squatted in the corner.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Clear as a bell.
Yeah,
it's clear as a bell. And there's just all kinds of different stuff you can use, out there. What else we got? And the better your IR lighting, folks, is, the better your IR cameras and full spectrum cameras will work. And I've even got this GoPro modified into a full spectrum, So, and those shoot really good if you know anything about GoPros. I don't know. That's about it, I guess, for now. I mean, think outside the box, but basically, if you're just a beginner in the paranormal, all you need is a flashlight, and you can use regular cameras, folks. You don't have to buy all the fancy stuff. Get yourself a flashlight, a recorder, and a camera, and you can start from there, okay? And try to do EVP sessions, take a lot of pictures, and see what shows up. And then you eventually get you a ghost box or a REM pod or whatever, and go with a team that knows what they're doing, that's been around for a while, and don't do it like you see. Like I said, TV's different than the real thing for the most part. So, get with a team and learn. Listen, use your ears and not your mouth, and listen and learn.
Yeah. what I find.
Another tool. Oh, I forgot another basic one.
Okay.
A mirror.
What do you do with a mirror?
A mirror. There's an old practice called scrying that you can do. And usually this was not really a scrying mirror, but the mirror will be painted black in the back, so you can't really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can do sessions, tell things to show themselves in the mirror, and at the same time you run a recorder. Sometimes people use a candle in the mirror too. There's all kinds of old stuff, and people, one of the reasons that in the old days, I'm Irish, so in the Irish folks, when someone dies, they cover, in the old traditions, they cover every shiny surface in the house because they feel that the spirit, the soul, will get sucked into a mirror. They cover mirrors up, any shiny surface that they're scared that the person's soul will get sucked into the mirror or into a shiny surface, and their soul will be lost forever. So that's some of the old traditions, that are in the Irish traditions. And some people still practice it to this day because, they still have the wakes in the house. They'll bring the body to the house and all the family and friends come over, and they usually keep them in there for 2 or 3 days until everybody comes to visit, and then they bury them. So, mirrors are, a door, and I truly believe mirrors are a doorway. I mean, I've seen some stuff happen with mirrors and stuff, and there's a lot of haunted mirrors, like the famous one at the Myrtles Plantation, the Bela Lugosi mirror that Bagans has in his museum. There's so many of these mirrors that have these hauntings and crazy stuff attached to them. So, people use them, and it goes back to old school to communicate with spirits, and it's just another tool. Here's a really old ghost box. Look at the size of this one that I have.
Oh.
See, it's a radio, but it's modified to scan constantly.
Gosh.
It's scanning right now. So, it's so big I don't even like to carry it around because it's heavy, So, but yeah, I mean, I've got some old stuff from way back when, and, even people, like Weatherly, like he's used reel-to-reel for EVPs and stuff, When you've been around a while, technology has made jumps by leaps and bounds. Another piece of equipment I love to use is a FLIR camera when I investigate, which I don't have it here. I left it in the house, but they have them for cell phones now. Actual thermal cameras made for cell phones. You buy the little FLIR piece, you plug it in, download the app, and plug it in, and you have an actual FLIR camera. And it's very reasonably priced, like $300.
Oh, wow. That is cheap, Dave. Those FLIR cameras are like $2,000.
Yeah, and it's great, too, because all of our cell phones have the technology. All they did was build the external camera for it. You plug it in to where you charge your phone, turn it on, and you have a real FLIR camera you can take pictures or video with right off of your cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
So, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars anymore.
Oh,
so technology is making advancements leaps and bounds.
Yeah, those are amazing. You pick up ghosts and black figures and everything with those.
Oh, yeah, I've got some pretty amazing stuff on the FLIR, several times now. We caught a floating apparition from about a torso, if you will, from the waist up at the Blair House, floating in the middle of the room. And it lit up different colors than the rest of the room, and it was a full torso, man, head, shoulders, arms, all the way down to the waist, just floating in the middle of the room.
Oh.
And, it's something that you got to... they featured that on Coast to Coast and everything. Me and Weatherly caught that. So,
wow.
It's just stuff that you utilize. You got to think outside the box, and use what you can. And I even use a FLIR on my drones, when I'm outside investigating, looking for Bigfoot and whatnot, So,
yeah.
It's fun stuff. It fascinates me. That's why I do what I do. And I hope maybe I gave you guys that aren't, you're thinking about investigating or you're rookie investigators, hope I gave you a few ideas, tonight.
Hey, got a couple of questions for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, hold on. From Starry Night. Dave, are you still doing your Sasquatch investigations? I really enjoyed those streams.
Yeah, I'll be doing some more of those this year, Stormy. You said Stormy, right?
Yes, Starry Night.
Stormy. Okay,
Yes.
sorry. Yeah, I'll be doing some more live investigations on Bigfoot here in West Virginia this summer. Several planned.
And Karen Baugh, if starting out, what would be the first piece of equipment you recommend? You okay?
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know if that did that by itself or what. Maybe you guys saw something behind me I didn't see, but no, the case just fell with the lasers in it. No big deal.
Okay, is it okay? Ah, that's
Yeah.
weird. All right, a question from Karen Baugh. If starting out, what be the first piece of equipment you recommend?
A recorder.
Yeah. Yeah. Do they still make tape recorders?
You can get cassette recorders online on eBay.
Okay. Let's see. Okay.
They're not easy to find. I mean, and then you got to worry about if they work, you know. So
Oh, yeah.
I've got several, and you know, I've actually bought a couple off eBay, trying to get some more, and one of them didn't work, and I had to file a claim, you know. But it is what it is. That's old technology,
Yeah.
and it's pretty much gone. So
Yeah.
you know, you can still get them though. You just got to look.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and you remember Cassandra 50. She says, Dave, are you close to needing an 18-wheeler to haul your stuff around?
Yeah, I mean, I actually traded my truck for a Suburban just so I had more room to haul all my gear around. I mean, it's getting crazy, but, you know, this is just a small segment of what I got, guys. I mean, I didn't even show you the camera systems I have. I have full spectrum DVR systems and all kinds of stuff. You know, this is just the basic equipment that I carry all the time, you know, with me. But, you know, when I go if I'm going to spend any time in a location, you know, I set up a lot of different stuff. And also, don't forget, you can use trigger objects like children's balls, or think outside the box, you know. Get some balloons and put helium in them, hang them up, and put a camera on it, see if they move. You know, there's different things you can use that you don't have to buy a $400 piece of equipment when you're conducting a paranormal investigation.
Okay, let's see. Jennifer Suzanne. Hi, Norene. Question for Dave. Please, after all your years of experience, have you reached any conclusions about the spirit world? For instance, are there certain things spirits aren't allowed to tell us?
That's a good question. I think that I don't know if we're supposed to know. I mean, we know there's stuff out there we don't understand. In my personal opinion, I know there's spirits that are walking the earth for whatever reason. I don't know why. Some are human and some are non-human. Of course, the non-human, I would call them an entity versus a spirit, because they're not a human spirit, they're an entity. But there are human spirits that I've communicated with. Don't know why they're still here. You know, maybe they don't know they're dead. Some don't know they're dead. Some do. Some don't want to leave because they don't want to leave their loved ones. They miss that physical body they had, you know, and they want those that earthly feelings, if you will, that they don't have anymore. Who knows why they're still here? That's one of the reasons I do what I do. Trying to find a small piece of that puzzle, maybe, you know. Why do some spirits move on and some are stuck here? Do they have unfinished business? What are they doing? You know, why are they here? That's why, you know, that's why we do what we do. We're trying to find some of the, to me, and I say this all the time on radio shows, and Norene show, I've said it before, it's some of man's greatest questions. What happens to us when we die? You know, if you're a highly religious person, you know, the Christian religion, you think, okay, when I die, I was a good person. I did what I was supposed to do. Therefore, I'm going to heaven. But why do some people maybe go to heaven and some spirits are stuck here on our plane, on the earthly plane still? What happened to them? What are they fighting going to where they're supposed to go? Do they have unfinished business? There's just so many different ways you can run with it, and that's what we're trying to do.
Well, Dave, I found in the paranormal that there really is not one answer, because when you talk to so many people, everybody says something different. One says a spirit is stuck here, and you have to send him to the light. Then somebody else will say, no, they're not stuck here. They can come and go. They have free will. And it's
I don't know, but I think it's all based off your background and your religious beliefs, is why people have different answers. I don't think no one has all the answers. I don't think we'll know all the answers until we're dead ourselves.
No, that's a given. And
we may not know.
Another thing is,
you got the people that believe in reincarnation, that we die and then we come back as something else. You got Christian beliefs that you either go to heaven or you go to hell. In some aspects, you go to purgatory for whatever reason. It just all depends what your belief system is.
Right. And I remember when I used to do paranormal investigating, how many times I would be in contact with the spirit, and with the tape, with the voice recorder, and the ovilus, and you know how the lights light up when they're responding back to you. So when you ask the spirits a question, I have carried on conversations with them only through the lights lit up. They would respond to me, but when you start asking them, what is it like on the other side? And you start questioning them about the other side. What is it like? They stop communicating. They stop.
Yeah, I've experienced that myself many times, and it's so frustrating because you're getting all these great responses and devices are going off, and you're making headway, and then you start asking questions pertaining to that. Why are you still here? Or where are you at? And it just seems to, it stops every time.
Yeah, every time. You're absolutely right. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Cassandra 50 says, Dave, do you remember when you were hit with the shovel? Do you mind telling people that did not see that episode about that?
I told about it earlier.
Okay.
Remember?
Yeah, well, I remember you talking about a shovel. I was doing other things while you were doing that. Let's see. Okay. Tony, are we able to cause pain on spirits that are evil?
Well, that's a catch-22. In certain mindsets and certain belief systems, if something is truly evil and you're using something good, such as holy water, sage, holy oil, blessed oil, and whatnot, they do not like that for whatever reason, because that represents good, they are bad, and they do. I actually saw a real exorcism one time, filmed it for some people, and I saw when they threw holy water on the person that it was screaming and moaning and the most god-awful noises coming out of this person you can imagine. So, I think in that aspect, maybe that caused that entity pain or major discomfort. I don't know, but it didn't like it. Okay. And, I've actually been a part of, like, when I had something I thought was attacking me, and I've had stuff used on myself, such as sage and certain things, that, bam, it seemed to, like, a light switch flipped on and the negativity was gone. So, almost immediately. So, that's kind of a weird, kind of a hard question to nature, but if you think about it in that relative aspect, yeah, I think it is something good can always make something bad not like it.
So, Dave, on these exorcisms, they say that the person has demons in them, but could it just be really bad negative spirits that are in these people that cause them to do these things?
Well, if something is possessing someone, I don't know if, that's another, falls back to your belief system. Can a human spirit possess another human, or is it some kind of demonic or evil entity possessing that human's body?
But Dave, we do know that spirits can possess your body. We call them attachments, and I know that for a fact. I've had 3 of them.
Yeah, you can have an attachment,
But Dave, I'm going to tell you, Dave, honey, those attachments change your personality. They get into you, and I can't tell you.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not really gonna. I've seen it. I know it can happen. I know people that it's happened to, and but I'm not gonna say that I know for sure what it is. If it's a human spirit or if it's a demonic entity,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
I do know for 100% fact that I've seen people have attachments, and it's really affected them in very negative ways.
Dave,
I've had them. I had an attachment. So.
Yes, I've had 3 of them. 3 of them. Okay, let's see. Okay, from Karen Baugh. Dave, do you believe in doing investigations in your own home that has portals, with open portals?
No.
Yeah, me
No.
neither.
I don't recommend any kind of investigation in your home. If you're having any kind of activity in your home, I suggest to bring in people to shut it down immediately.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get attachments. There's something going on in your home that shouldn't be going on in your home. It's your home, your safe space. You need to take control of it and get rid of everything in there that's not supposed to be in there. Period. End of story.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. Okay. Ethel.
And don't fall for the old, it's a nice ghost or it's a nice spirit. It's not doing anything wrong. There's no, eventually, even if it is that act, it's going to turn negative because it wants your attention. It wants you to see it. It wants you to interact. And as soon as you don't, if you're interacting, and it's starting to bother you because they can see you, but not all the time you can't see them. They want your attention all the time. They don't understand why they can't see you. And eventually they're going to start scratching you. They're going to start, wreaking havoc on your life, keeping you up all hours of the night. And spirits have no sense of time, okay, like we do. Right. They're in a whole different plane of existence. We are on a time-based, existence. They don't sleep. They don't have to sleep. They don't have to do things like we do. And eventually it's going to wreak havoc upon your life, and you just need to tell it, hey, this is my house. You got to go. That don't work. You bring in people to cleanse your house and make them go where they got to go.
Dave, I've heard this before about children. I heard this. I don't know if it's true or not, but this is what I heard, that when you see a child spirit or you get their voices on a recorder, that they're really not children, that they're negative or demonic entities posing as a child. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, it's said like that because in so many cases that was the case, but I don't think it's true in every single case. But if you go back to what I just said, I think that if you are having, even if it's a child spirit, it needs to go where it's supposed to go. Yeah, sometimes it's heart-wrenching and whatnot, but it's not supposed to be on our plane of existence. It needs to go wherever it's supposed to go and not hang around, because eventually it could turn negative on you, in certain aspects and whatnot. So it's always better to just come in, cleanse the house or the location, whatever it is, send them on their way where they're supposed to go, and that's it. I don't do that. I know how to do it, but I don't mess with that, and I leave that to other people that they specialize in that. So, I've just seen too many cases where it started out as playful and it was a little kid or whatever, and then it just turned really, really bad, and people's lives were turned upside down, because, like I said, they're not on the same plane as we are. They don't sleep. They'll be up all the time keeping you up, messing with your kids or messing with you, wanting your attention. So it's better to just move them along.
All right, another question from Jennifer Suzanne. Why do a lot of spirits whisper?
Well, who's to say they're whispering? They may be screaming, but you only hear it as a whisper. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because like I said, they're on a different plane than we are. They're not always in our same realm. They may be screaming from the other plane, and you're just capturing it as a whisper.
Yeah, isn't that you know what? Really, because so many times on our voice recorder we would get a whisper, help, that whisper.
Yeah, exactly. And I was gonna try to find that EVP me and whether we got, and this thing absolutely screamed into the recorder to where it blew your ear out, man. So it can happen in a whisper or it could happen in a scream. We don't know why.
Oh, scream, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
Did you?
And it was like, rah! I flew back in the chair and I dropped the recorder. It was so loud because we did a session. We're playing it back, and that came out of nowhere. So.
Wow.
And it was very, very unnerving.
Wow. Ethel Mertz wants to know, Dave, are you...
You never know what you're going to get, guys, when you're doing this stuff. You never know.
No, you don't. Something always happens that's different, and it's never the same. Ethel Mertz wants to know, Dave, are you a sensitive?
I've had people tell me that. I don't claim to be. I don't know. I don't think of myself as a sensitive, if that makes sense.
Okay, from Kathy Salento. Dave, have you ever gone back to where you first saw Bigfoot with your grandfather and tell him good luck with all that is and Kathy says good luck with all that's coming your way. But did you ever go back to that sighting with your grandfather?
Oh yeah, I'm actively researching it now.
Okay.
Something big is brewing with all that, so I don't want to talk about it too much.
Okay. Maria H. Dave, why do you think they stopped communicating when asked what it's like in the afterlife?
We don't know.
Right, we don't.
Like Norene said, are they allowed to tell us? I don't think so. Are we allowed to know certain information? I don't know. I don't think so. Otherwise, we'd know everything.
Yeah, that's true. Unique Annie, she wants to say, I want to say hi to Dave and someday hunt with him.
Oh yeah, Annie's been around. We've known each other for a long time, since Norene's early shows I've done with her.
Yeah.
And same with Kathy and a whole bunch of other ones, Cassandra.
Oh yeah.
Like I said before, I really appreciate all your guys' support over the years, and it's really awesome to have that kind of support and everything, and I appreciate you guys following what I do, and I love sharing what I do with all of you out there, and it's fascinating to me, and I'm going to keep on doing it.
Julie Riston, do you think that spirits are what the Bible calls familiar spirits who just mimic our past loved ones?
See, that's where you get into a possible demonic or negative entity imitating a human spirit to gain your trust, to deceive you, and then take you over, because that's what demons do. They seek to ruin and destroy souls. And first they gain your trust, by lying to you, then they start slowly taking over your life, and then they destroy your life and your loved ones as well, and then at the same time.
But Dave, what about those spirits that look like one of your relatives that visit you? Do you think that's demonic?
It could be. It could go either way. There's doppelgangers too, and we've had a show on doppelgangers. Doppelgangers will make themselves look like just like you to deceive, your family. Most of those sightings are negative in nature.
All right, and yeah, I mean, my sister, my older sister, when she was growing up, her grandmother used to sit on the edge of her bed. I don't know if they communicated at that time, if there was any conversation going on, but she would sit on her bed many, many times. This is when they lived back east. All right, so from Matronesta, what do you think of Dead Files, Dave?
Well, like I said, TV's TV. I haven't been there when they filmed the show, so I don't know how real it is, personally. But it's like anything else. TV is entertainment, folks. I mean, you'll see me on TV, and I try to keep it as real as possible. But they're always, once you sign a contract, they can do whatever they want with it. Now, the difference is with me, if I'm on a show like this, I'll come and tell you, hey, this wasn't right on the show, they changed this or this or this. But if you want the real story, either read my book or listen to what I'm telling you right now. So, that's the thing with TV, it's almost virtually, you got to think about it like this. If you go to a location and you're investigating, right, and on the TV, most of the shows are for an hour. So they spend 2 or 3 days, and if they're lucky, to investigate a place. And most of it's all B-roll and, them interviewing people and whatnot. But then they, for the whole hour, they're just getting evidence after evidence after evidence after evidence that's supposed to be legit. It just really doesn't work like that. I've spent, you guys have seen me, some of the locations I've been to. I've spent over a month in one location before, lived in it, and you might have a flurry of 5 good minutes of stuff day per day. Other times it may be more, but it is what it is. There is legit stuff they do capture for TV shows and whatnot, and like I said, as far as a show like Dead Files where they use psychics and whatnot, I don't put a lot into that, but there are some real people out there with abilities. I just don't think there's as many out there as claim to be. Okay, for what take it for what it's worth. That's just my personal opinion. There are some people out there that have blown my mind, but there's a lot of people that claim to be this and that are just not that. I'm sorry.
Okay. Ethan wants to know.
And we all, before we go to the next one, everybody out here, everybody watching, me, everybody, we all have the ability to use some abilities, if you understand what I mean. We all have some abilities. It's just some people can tap into them better than others. Mm-hmm. And I think the more you do this, the more you're able to tap into some of those abilities and whatnot, if that makes sense to you.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ethan wants to know, have you seen a black hooded figure before similar to shadow people?
I've never seen a black hooded figure, but I've seen plenty of shadow people. I've actually recorded a couple on video in various locations. Never seen a black hooded one though. There's lots of reports of black hooded figures by paranormal investigators and regular everyday people all over the world.
Yeah. Carolina, Carolina R.I. She wants to ghost hunt with me. Honey, I don't do ghost hunting anymore. I've had my share of it. Carolina wants to know, what do you think of the Ouija board, Dave?
Well, if you guys know me personally, I don't really care for them, but lots of other people use them. It's another tool, okay? But in my point of view, when you use a Ouija board, you're allowing a spirit to use your energy, okay, to manipulate that planchette. You're allowing a spirit to come through your body, use your energy to manipulate that planchette when you're holding on to it, okay? There's a big difference in that versus, like, say, a ghost box. A ghost box is the tool. When you use a Ouija board, you're the tool that's being manipulated to move the planchette. And for me personally, I'm not willing to let anything take over my body and use me, my energy. It happens enough when you're in some of these haunted locations, but when you're willing to let it do that to you, you're asking for a whole different ball of wax. In my personal opinion, you can leave doorways open. If you don't know what you're doing and you use them improperly, you're going to leave doorways open for things to come through, and sometimes they're not very nice things.
Well, Dave, they say that about a lot of other stuff that the paranormal field does. Not only the Ouija board, but seances, the ghost box. Yeah. They say that about all of that.
Well, see, the seance, you're using a medium who is the conduit that they allow. The medium allows the spirit to use their body to communicate through. That's different. It's not you allowing the spirit to use you. It's using that medium to communicate. So I've sat in on seances. I've seen how they're done. For me personally, I wouldn't do it. Number one, I'm not a medium anyway. I'm not going to let a spirit use my body. I mean, that's the difference for me. If you're allowing a spirit to use your energy in your body to communicate or move a device, that's even more dangerous than doing what we do now in my book.
Karen Ball, when is Dave's next video coming out?
I may have one for you in the next week or so. But like I said, I've got a lot of other projects going on. Still doing a lot of stuff with SOS. Me and Weatherly got a lot of stuff coming up. We're kind of pushing stuff to the next level now. YouTube is just, YouTube is really messed up these days. And like I said, I love doing the YouTube stuff. I always have, but, it costs a lot of money, folks, to go out and do this on your own. Going out to locations and stuff. And, I try to share what I do as much as possible. I'll throw up videos when I can on YouTube, and some live stuff here and there, but there comes a point where you have to make a decision, okay? Am I going to try to get some money back to cover my expenses doing this, or am I just going to keep going out of pocket until, there's no more money to be had in my pocket? So, I like to share what I do for you guys, but, it's free entertainment for all of you. But, there comes a point where you have to try to reciprocate and get some of that money back. So that's why I don't do as much stuff on YouTube anymore, because it costs literally thousands and thousands of dollars, to do this. If you figure in the gas money it takes you to go, the hotels you got to rent, or if you're staying in a location, the food, the equipment, the batteries, everything involved. I mean, just one investigation, you could have $1,000 in.
Oh, God,
no
Dave.
Problem.
Try California.
If you have to rent a location, some of the more well-known locations out there, that's another grand. So,
yeah.
And YouTube doing what it did with the whole Admageddon thing, there's no money coming back to people like me that put the content out for you guys to watch. So it makes it really, really difficult, you know. So we're trying to move to other platforms like Amazon and whatnot, and do other things like that, because we have to have something coming back if we're going to keep doing this, you know. If we don't, there's just going to be less and less stuff out there on YouTube for me anyway. Because, and I hate to make it about money, but you know, there's only so much money you can put out of your pocket, guys.
Oh, it's terrible.
I mean, we used to do. That's why on my old channel, I used to do so many streams, because I was making enough to where I could cover all my costs and have extra to go do the next one and the next one and the next one, you know. So it's really, really gotten bad with YouTube these days, which is a shame. You know, they've really hammered the paranormal guys and the horror people on YouTube.
Yeah. I don't.
You know, see, Norene can do her show from home, and she doesn't have to put out, but she still puts out a lot of money on cameras and equipment and stuff like that. But, you know, when you go out in the field, it's a whole nother bunch of expenses.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
You know, but, like I said, there'll be some more Bigfoot stuff coming, because that's local to me. I don't have to go far, and I don't have to spend much money. And there'll be some more ghost stuff on there, too, coming up. Local stuff. So, just not quite as much as before.
Yeah. Well, Dave, it's a good thing you don't live in California, because it cost that's why I stopped it. That was another reason I stopped paranormal investigating. Some of those locations, it was over $1,500, and that was just for the location. We had to pay for the location, and we had to pay for employee fees, plus our hotel room, our food, and our gas. It was outrageous. Outrageous.
Yeah, and even back in the old days when my old channel was booming and doing really well, I mean, it would still take about 6-8 months to make up that money that you spent on those investigations, you know. So, it is what it is. I mean, it sucks that it's gotten to this point, but, you know, I'll still be throwing up stuff here and there for you guys. So, hopefully something will change and we'll get back to where we were before with YouTube paying out. I know they do the, you know, there's some folks in the chat room now and moderators that, you know, they have that, what's it called, where the people can donate you some money, which that always helps do.
Super
chats or whatever. Yeah.
But YouTube YouTube takes some of that money too.
Yeah, they take some of that money.
Yeah, it's not like, you know, Google isn't happy with billions of dollars every month that they make. They want more.
Yeah, and in the old days, they only took like 25%. Now they're taking 40%.
Oh yeah, they take There's. Okay, so Royce, honey, no more questions. I'm gonna ask Dave the ones that we have left. Let's see. There's a question for you. Would Dave ever go back to the Wells house? I don't know where this is coming from. Would Dave ever go back to the Wells house and spend a week at it, investigating it again, living in it, until it is time to leave or go home?
That would just depend. Possibly.
No, I wouldn't let you go. I would fly out to West Virginia and tie you up.
That's why I said that, because I knew you'd get a rise out of that.
I would never let you go back.
Man, that place is really bad. I mean, it's a very negative place, and I don't know if I'd ever go back there. Probably not.
Dave, you got your own bad Wells house.
Yeah.
Dave.
Yeah, my house is probably just as bad, if not worse, than the Wells house anyway.
Oh my God, yeah. For those who may not know that, Dave owns the Willow's Weep in Cayuga, Indiana. And
yeah, there's more. There's 7 confirmed deaths in that house. I mean, 3 by suicide. I mean, it's just a crazy, crazy place. A lot more coming on it.
That's crazy.
We got a book coming out on it later this year in the fall. That's people will be able to read the whole history, you know, what we have of the history of it, the deaths, the confirmed deaths, the death certificates, everything that's happened in this place. the last guy who lived in it shot himself in the head. His chair that he died in is still in the house with his blood all over it. I mean, just dark, macabre stuff like that. And, you know, the house is built in the shape of a cross. It's got a crossroads directly in front of it. There's so much stuff. And, you know, I'll just give you a little sneak hint. Look for some stuff coming out on TV about it, because it's coming.
Okay, there's a question from Sizzlin' Bacon. What channel name will Dave use when he releases his next investigation video?
What do you mean? I have a channel right now, guys. It's called Real Supernatural.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of my old videos are on there, and a bunch of new ones are. Just look up Real Supernatural. It's on YouTube. There's also an official Willow's Weep page if you want to see a bunch of investigations at the house on YouTube.
Okay.
Just click on videos, and there's like 40 videos on there.
Oh, yeah. Couldn't they just Google Willow's Weep and look, I mean, go under videos? It'll come up. You know,
yeah, just look up Willow's Weep on YouTube.
Okay.
But, yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. I'm on the Real Supernatural channel. I mean, I started that channel after my other one was taken down, and it's already got. I haven't even put hardly much content on it. It's got 500,000 views on it already.
Wow.
So, and you know, so share it. Go on there and share it for me. You know, and if we get it built back up, then I'll start doing more stuff on it. You know, here and there. But I got some Bigfoot stuff coming. And a lot of stuff will be coming on, you know, here and there on my YouTube channel. The videos will probably be a lot shorter than they used to be, though. It'll just be segments, 30 minutes to an hour.
Oh, yeah.
But there will be, what I'm going to do with the Weep is probably going to set up a 24-hour live cameras there at some point, along with times that I'm investigating. And there'll be a lot of stuff coming from the Weep on its YouTube channel, too.
Oh, hey, Unique Annie said, hey, Dave, come to Shanley, Illinois. All right, let's see. What's left here? All right,
I gotta go because I'm getting.
Okay. All right, guys, I can't take any more questions. Dave has to go.
I mean, one more. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. How do you get? Rascal Flats wants to know, how do you get rid of evil spirits?
I don't know, man. I mean, that's based off of your own personal belief system. You know, I would start by calling in clergy and have them cleanse your house.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the only thing I could recommend.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another thing. I don't recommend doing EVP sessions in your house either. No ghost box, none of that.
None of that.
Nope, you're just inviting them in. Don't do it.
Yep.
Oh, Dave, thanks so much for coming on the show. It was a fun show. Hey, good luck with everything. And we talk, so I know what's going on with Dave, and you guys will be really surprised. It's unbelievable what's happening. Dave finally is getting, his karma is coming to him. He's got good karma, and good karma goes to good people, and things are finally happening for Dave, and it's really exciting what's happening for Dave. Don't forget Dave's latest new published book, West Virginia Bigfoot. He's got another book coming out. That is... Real
West Virginia Hauntings, Volume 1.
Yeah, and we're doing a show on some of those stories. Let's see.
Yeah, I can't wait for that book to come out, because that's, you know, really the whole body of my work, the bulk of my work is here in West Virginia. I've done it all over the world, and all over the country. But the majority of my work comes out of West Virginia. Over the years, countless residential people's homes I've investigated, and haunted locations, along with UFO encounters and investigations, and Bigfoot here in the state of West Virginia. So the bulk of my work comes out of my home state of West Virginia, and I got a lot of cool stuff coming out on it.
Yeah, well, you're the West Virginia guy, Dave. You do it all. That show with Dave, the next show with Dave is March 21st, and he's gonna do West Virginia ghosts and urban legends. So that should be a fun show. Well, Dave, thanks so much, honey, for coming on the show tonight. Always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll be talking to you. Thanks, honey. Have a
All right,
good
guys.
evening.
Have a good night. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Good night, honey. Good night.
Good night.
Always a pleasure having Dave on the show. He's so interesting. I hope you like the show. Please don't forget to give the show a like. And thanks so much for joining me tonight. Let's see. My next show is February 21st with Vanessa Hogel. We're going to do unsolved murders, mysteries, and disappearances. So that's always a fun show. And then on the 28th, the last Thursday, Sean Austin will be on the show. Don't forget, if you want show reminders, to go to my website, ParanormalZone.tv, and click on the tab that says show reminders. Also, if you go to my main channel, my main page, I'm trying to set up the events so you can just click on it to set a reminder for yourself. So also I have if any of those of you that are on Facebook, I have let's see, I have a Paranormal Zone TV fan page and a Do You Believe fan page. So if you go over there and give it a like, I'd appreciate it. When I post shows on Facebook, well, you know, Facebook has changed. He's another, Mr. Zuckerman is another money-hungry guy, and they don't show links anymore. You know, before, years ago when we were on Facebook, oh my God, we would post a show up, everybody saw it. Not anymore. They don't want advertising unless you pay for it. So I post the shows on my main page, Norene, Sampiere, Balovich, but nobody ever sees it. And I do post the shows on those two fan pages. So if you're on Facebook, go ahead and give it a like, and you'll always see my advertisements on there. So everybody have a great. Oh, you know what? I do have a merchandise, and it's not on the bottom of my videos anymore. The thing about that is I have to constantly update it, and I'll try and get it updated so it shows on the bottom of my videos. I have to go back and figure out how to do that. I do have a web page, which I hate, and I never have time to work on it, but I do have a web page, ParanormalZone.tv, and I think I have a page on there for merchandise, but I need to update that merchandise, and it will be on the bottom. There'll be PZD cups, shirts, and whatever. So I will do that. And anyway, thanks so much, everybody. Let me do some shout. Oh, you know what? Next week is Valentine's Day, and I like Valentine's Day. I do like that holiday. I get flowers, and my husband takes me out to dinner, and I like that. So happy Valentine's Day to you. I'll see you after Valentine's Day on the 21st. So let's do some shout outs, okay? And again, thank you. Oh, thanks to the mods, Royce, Unique Annie, and Cassandra. You guys are so lucky to have them as your mods because they are wonderful. And as you notice, we have no problems in our chat room. And please say your prayers. Continue with your prayers and positive energy. And to Royce, he really needs it. He's not well, and we want to keep him. Nothing happened to him. So please keep your prayers going for Royce, okay? So let's do some shout outs. All right, so we have Graham Crosby, Carl White, Unique Annie, Royce, Cassandra, Carolina R, Cassandra 50. Oh, Dwayne Crump, Das Bunny, Ethel Mertz, I love the name, Jennifer Suzanne, Julie Riston, Maria H., Matronista, Nancy, Robert Hanna, Royce, Sizzling Bacon, Tammy Heitzman, Tracy Clark, and Unique Annie. Anybody else want to shout out? We had a nice crowd. It was unusual to have a 5 o'clock show an hour earlier, but I had to because of Dave. Dave is 3 hours ahead. So for Dave, it's, after 10 o'clock. So everybody, thanks so much, and thank you for being here. Oh, there you are, Carl White. You hide out at the last minute all the time. Hugs to everybody, and love you guys. And I'll see you on the 21st. And happy Valentine's Day. Okay, love you guys. Have a safe weekend. Love you, and thank you so much, so much. Another thing, if those of you who watch the show that are on Facebook, if you would share my postings for the shows, that would really help out, because there's no love from Facebook. They just don't want you to see them. So I'd really appreciate. Oh, Lisa Marie, thank you so much, honey. Thank you. That's really nice of you. Maybe, I don't know. I know everybody is starting to do Patreon. I don't know much about it. Maybe I'll get Royce to help me figure that out. I really don't know anything about it. But any money I get from Facebook, from YouTube, they take it. So I need to think of something else. But I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Love you guys. I will see you on the 21st. It's going to be another great show. Dave, thanks again for being on the show. Always awesome to have Dave. And my favorite shows of true crime, unsolved mysteries, we will have on the 21st. Okay, guys? Thank you so much. Love you guys. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good night, everybody. Thank you.